Back with another video. This is a highly requested video, actually. My subscribers have messaged me in the comments asking me to install a cold air intake. It's not really a cold air intake, but it's an air intake. I like to call it high flow air intake. But anyway, it's a CTS Turbo. We're going to install this thing step by step. Details. I'm going to show you the tools you're going to need. Very simple. Anybody can do this. Hang out until the end of the video. I'm going to show you how it sounds with the turbo. It's going to sound amazing. Anyway, got everything laid out here on the table, ready to go. Ready to show you how to put this thing in. It's not as bad as it looks, guys. Pretty simple stuff to do. Want to take a quick moment to thank all of my subscribers, and if you would consider subscribing, that would be amazing. Thank you very much. But we're going to remove all this bulky, stock, ugly, plastic-looking junk. Anyway, I don't like it. It doesn't look good, and it doesn't sound good, but it's going to sound great. Wait till we hear that turbo at the end of the video. All right, let's go. Okay, tools we're going to need here, very simple. They give you a little baggie full of the screws, nuts, and bolts that we're going to use to assemble the heat shield. Also, we're going to need a ratchet, preferably with an extension, a 10mm socket, a T30, and a T25 socket. We're going to need a 2.5mm Allen. We're going to need some sort of a channel lock, pliers, needle nose pliers, whatever for the clips, flathead screwdriver, and I'm going to use, and I'm going to show you where, some blue Loctite. So I thought I would add that to it. Now we're going to get to removing all of this old air intake stuff. So you want to take this part out first. It's held on by two T25s by the front grill. So just remove those. Not real easy to get to, but you know, I managed. There you go. Just a little T25, just unscrew that. Take that out. Throw everything in a box because you're not going to use this stuff, but I advise you to keep all of the old stuff just in case you want to put it back on if you sell the car or something like that. So just start removing parts. It's very simple. Take it off little by little. You have to push in on these little clips to remove that pipe from the plastic. I grabbed a screwdriver to do that. I had to work with it a little bit, but it came off. There we go. There's really not much to this. Just start taking things apart. Now you're going to have to take and open up the air filter box here. I believe it's 8 screws, T25s. So just get in there and unscrew all of those, and then it just pops right up. And take the air filter out, and there are some things inside you want to pull out because you have to get to an inlet pipe in there, and also where it's attached to the car, you need to be able to see where that is so you can pull up on that to pop it out of there. And you're going to have to remove this clip as well. You just push that back, pull the pipe out. There you go. Now, also, don't forget to take this little rubber hose off as well. We'll connect that later onto the new intake. The 8 screws to release this box are safety screws. They don't come all the way out. Just loosen them all the way, and it just pulls right up. There you go. Toss this thing. Take the filter out. That's a good filter, by the way. Yeah, I'm going to hold on to that. Take some of the internal parts out. Pull that out. It just pops right out. It's just cheap-ass plastic, to tell you the truth. This is where it's held on to the car. That's where the inlet pipe is, but you don't need to do anything with that. The inlet pipe is just shoved down into the fender well somewhere. I didn't even know it was there, to tell you the truth, until now. But anyway, yeah, just pop that out. You're going to have to just pull on it pretty good. Just be careful, don't hit yourself in the face. But yeah, it comes right out. Yeah, this is that extra pipe that comes out the bottom side of the box. Don't worry about that. It just comes out with the box. So once you tug on it and you pop it out, you're going to have to kind of fish it out of the car because there are other things in the way. So just turn it around, fish it out of there, then toss it, man. It's done. Look at that big old thing. That's horrible. Actually awful. Get this crap out of here. I'm telling you, all that bulky stuff is absolutely ridiculous. Wait till you see the difference when we're finished. Once all of that is out of there, you can start going back on the piping. Just remove the clamps one at a time. Use whatever tool you can. I'm using channel locks here, but seems to be working pretty well. But yeah, pull it out and just put it in a box. Junk it, do whatever. So the next pipe actually goes into the turbo inlet pipe itself. So that's gonna be the tough one, getting down into that. Yeah, it's gonna be tough. And wouldn't you know it, on my car, the tabs on the clamp are actually facing the back of the car. So how the hell am I gonna get this? Well, I'm gonna have to try some smaller pliers or something to get it out. Because I don't think the channel locks are going to fit. So they ended up not fitting here. And I worked on this for about 20 minutes trying to figure it out because I don't want to start bending AC lines and all this other crap. So I was able to do it with a regular pair of pliers. Didn't have much room, but I finally got it out. So once you do that, you just remove that. And then you have one more connection right there below it, as you can see. Be careful with that. It is plastic. It's pretty janky. Just pull on it and it'll eventually pop out. Wiggle and pull, wiggle and pull. Then it's also attached here, a T25 actually. So just pull that out and remove it. Then you should be good to go. And you actually have one more piece. It's the silicone or rubber coupling that is on the turbo inlet. We'll remove that as well and replace it with the new one that goes with the air intake that we're putting in. I'm showing this again because people have struggled with it, just removing that little connection underneath the pipe itself. Like I said, just twist and pull on it. It will pop out. It goes right there in that part. And the new part as well has the same sort of connection, so it should just pop right on. Now you can get a good look at the coupling I was talking about. That's the last piece that needs to go. We're going to replace it with the CTS Turbo coupling. So let's get this thing out of here. It's just held on by another hose clamp. Yep, pliers did it. Got it out. There it is. So it's in decent shape, you know, it's oily. And then also I like to get down in there and clean that out a little bit. Just take a clean cloth with no debris on it and wipe it out pretty well. That should be it. Now we're pretty much ready to start putting this thing in. So this is the new coupling. The small part of it goes down over the turbo inlet. And don't forget to put a hose clamp on before you put that in there. Otherwise you'll have to take it back off. So yeah, but I will say one thing, and I might repeat it again and again. Leave all of your hose clamps loose until you're ready to complete this whole job, because you're going to have to manipulate everything, move everything, position everything, and you're going to be working against yourself if you don't do that, and going back and forth, tightening and loosening, tightening and loosening. So just my advice, if you're going to tighten them, just tighten them down just enough to stay in place, but yet it still allows you some wiggle room. Okay, so we're going to put the longer pipe in here, and you see the inlet on the bottom. We're going to try to connect that. But first, there are these two holes, and there are the two little screws that they give you to put in there. They're like plugs. So this is where the Loctite comes in, the blue Loctite. So just put a little Loctite on that, and it'll keep them in place. They won't vibrate out. Those are just for additional accessories, I guess, that you can have for this. I'm not quite sure what, but yeah, so we're just plugging those up for now. They're not going to be used for anything in this installation, or probably ever in my car. One thing I want to stress is take a pair of pliers or something, tighten these down, but just nice and snug. Don't over tighten them. This is aluminum, so don't over tighten this. It will damage the threads. It will damage the intake itself. Just be cool with it. That Loctite's going to hold it in. And again, it's blue Loctite, so that means it can be removed at a future date, unlike the red Loctite, which is kind of permanent. All right, so get those tightened down a little bit. There we go. Now let's get this thing put in. We need to connect that piece that pops in on the bottom of the pipe there. It doesn't matter what order you do it in. You can put the turbo inlet pipe end in first. You can do the other thing first. It doesn't matter. Whatever works, whatever gives you the most room. You can actually take that engine cover off if you want to. I left it on. I think it looks kind of cool anyway for the video, but it wasn't really in the way for me. So yeah, there I am, connecting the connection there. That snapped right on. It was a lot easier to put on than take off. Be very careful, take your time when you put the ends of each of these pipes inside the silicone couplings. Make sure it goes all the way down in, beyond that lip. It's very, very important. You don't want any leaks, and then you want to apply your hose clamps. But remember, never tighten your hose clamps until we're finished, and then we can get it all tightened down. I'll show you. This is the largest coupling here. You want to put a couple hose clamps on it. Just put them over it. That's fine. Go ahead and put it on the pipe. Put it over that lip. Now, you can apply a little like dielectric grease or something on that silicone on the inside, just a very little bit. You don't want it wet or anything. It'll help you maneuver with that pipe a lot easier than if it's dry. So now it's time to go back to the bench and assemble the heat shield. Very easy. The screws line up. It's just two pieces. And you have all these little screws here. Those are the 2.5 millimeter Allens. So that's pretty simple. They're very small screws, but yeah, it took me like 3 or 4 minutes to do that. Put those all together. Then you have this. Now you have a rubber piece that came in the hardware package with this. That's to put it back where the other rubber piece was when we removed the factory air intake box. That sits in there like that. It just pops right in, and then it'll pop right into the car onto that stem right there. Simple enough. So when you get to this part, installing the heat shield, just kind of play with it a little bit, kind of line it up and see how it's going to fit in there. It only fits one way. There's, you pop in that rubber piece. The other part is a 10 millimeter screw that you put in the side. And there's an additional bracket I'm going to show you that you have to put on. And then there's a T25 that goes in the front part by the grill. So that's what holds it in. Basically just 3 connections. So this is the screw part. In the package of hardware, they have this little L bracket. We're going to install that onto this. And then it has an adjustment slide on the other end to put where the original screw was that we took out from the original intake. So go over to the bench and install the last nut and bolt. It's that 2.5 millimeter Allen, very, very small. And then bring it back over, snap everything into place, that rubber piece, and then start applying your screw. But actually you want to hold up, don't tighten that screw all the way down because there's an additional piece that's going to go on that as well. I'll show you here in a bit. And this is the final last of the 3 connections. It's the T25 screw. Just throw it in there. It's the original screw that came out. They didn't supply one. So hold on to your bolts that you do take out. That's the only one I reused. But yeah, it seems very sturdy in place. And keep in mind, I'm leaving things kind of loose until I'm finished. This is the additional part. It's that bend in the pipe that secures that, keeps it real stationary. So we're also going to put that where that L bracket went. So they just go on top of each other. And the screw goes right down through both of them. Again, work it, and if you have some silicone grease or something, put it in there. It helps you maneuver the coupling. Now we can apply that screw. Just put it in there. Again, keep it kind of loose, get it a little snug until you have it in a position that you want it. Now is becoming the time when we can start tightening things down. When you kind of have a pretty good idea of the positioning of everything. You don't want things rubbing against each other. You don't want things hitting metal on metal. It makes noise. it could cause damage in the future. So let's grab the filter here. Yep, it slides right on, and of course you have a hose clamp that's already on it. So get it in position where you want it. Make sure it goes over the lip of the pipe. Secure your hose clamp. That's pretty simple, because you're going to have to remove this many times in the future to clean it and put oil on it, all of that. It's just maintenance stuff. But yeah, it's very easy. And be sure to position all of the heads of the screws on the hose clamps throughout in a place that you can easily get to them. So mine are all positioned kind of in the same way. If you notice, they're facing out to where I could easily get a screwdriver in there for future disassembly or whatever. Now it's time to go back and tighten all the other hose clamps. So you're gonna have to get that in there, get a little dirty, tighten them up, make sure they're positioned properly, because you don't want any leaks, and just get them really good and tight and secure. Again, you don't have to over tighten them, but on the hose clamps, you want it to be pretty tight. You want a nice snug fit around that pipe. Go ahead and tighten that 10mm screw that goes into that L bracket and the elbow pipe. Now, they have these two little rubber things. They just slide onto the top, the sharp edges. I think it just protects, things from the sharp edges on top of the heat shield. So one goes there, one goes, I already applied the one towards the front. So they bend pretty easy right around the corner there. It makes it look nice, gives it a nice edge. People, this thing looks freaking fantastic. I've had a chance to step back and look at it, but I always like to wipe things off. I just took a little alcohol and just wiped some of the fingerprints and some of the oils and dirt off, make it look good, Man, it looks absolutely fantastic. I can't believe it. And so much, every space is utilized. It's not like you have this huge plastic box. And look at that. It looks perfect. Yep, it's getting ready, man. Yep. Oh, yeah. I'm very, very pleased. Look at that. That is smooth. Everything's tightened down. Everything's positioned properly. Yeah, I'm ready to hear what this thing sounds like, for sure. So let's just move the camera around a little bit just so you can get another view of the installation. And again, guys, if you would consider subscribing, that would be awesome. We're getting ready to hear what this thing sounds like. I'm very anxious to hear that. Oh, and one more thing. Don't forget to put that little hose back on. There's a little nub below the pipe there. So put that on. Otherwise, you'll get a check engine light. Just FYI. I almost forgot. I was so mesmerized by how this looks. Okay, here we go. All right, let's see what this turbo sounds like. It's going to be awesome. Okay, you can definitely hear the turbo. It's nasty. I think it sounds better live than on video, but it is good. Yes, you can hear the swoosh sound. It's going to be amazing, especially when driving. Definitely pleased with this. It sounds freaking awesome. Okay, let's get one last view of this car. Look at it, man. It looks fantastic. Yes, I do need to clean the engine up a little bit, but it's not bad. But man, this thing gives it a whole new look, whole new sound. It's easy to install. You just need to take your time. Go back and forth in the video if you need to look at it again and again. It's much better than the instruction manual they gave me. It's absolutely horrible. But anyway, I like the intake. It's sharp. It's good quality. I highly recommend it. And guys, thanks for subscribing. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. Hit the bell. You'll get notifications. I have tons of videos on this Volkswagen Passat. Thanks again, guys. See you next time.